From unsolved mysteries to unexplained phenomena, from comedy gold to relationship fails, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Because the only thing that should interrupt your listening is, well, nothing. Download the Amazon Music app today.
Today we are diving deep into the U.S. legislative and tax code.
The ultimate labyrinth.
It really is. A system that is famously convoluted, definitely stressful, and, let's be honest, a primary source of political fog.
It is. And for centuries, lawmakers have had to approach any kind of reform in really the only way they could, piecemeal.
One piece at a time.
Exactly. Just think about it. No single person, no office could ever review the entire legal framework holistically. It's just too big.
So every new law was added into this fog you're talking about?
A dense historical fog. And that often created these hidden, unintentional consequences somewhere else in the code.
A fog is the perfect word for it. And our mission in this deep dive is to show how large language models, LLMs, are moving way beyond being simple chatbots.
Much further.
They're becoming, in a way, forensic auditors for the law itself. The promise here is clarity pulling that system out of the fog.
And giving you, the listener, a full panoramic view of how the system actually functions, not just how we think it does.
That holistic view must be what changes everything, right?
It's the key. I mean, the central challenge from a technical standpoint is that the law exists as just massive amounts of unstructured text.
We're talking about statutes, court rulings.
Hundreds of thousands of pages of statutory text, decades of court rulings that sometimes even conflict with each other, and then millions of pages of IRS guidance. It's a mountain of data.
And LLMs are the first tool that can not just read that mountain of data, but actually correlate it, see the connections.
Yes, correlated at a system-wide scale. Historically, if you wanted to know the impact of one little amendment, you'd hire a team of lawyers.
And it's been months, maybe years, tracing citations.
Right. Slow, expensive, and always incomplete. AI transforms that whole process from this, bureaucratic obstacle into a data-driven diagnostic tool.
Okay, so it can take a proposed policy change and check it against everything else at once.
Simultaneously. It checks it against the statutory text, the relevant court cases, and even the economic impact data.
And that must be the aha moment for lawmakers. Suddenly, the AI is flagging things.
Exactly. It surfaces contradictions, redundancies, loopholes, all the outdated provisions that human review just misses because the scope is too wide.
You can finally see what works and what doesn't.
And that's the real focus here. The goal isn't just automation. It's about redesigning the system, to be fair. By looking at all this data case law outcomes, you can ground reform in evidence.
So it's about getting away from political guesswork.
And towards a system that actually reflects transparency, coherence, and equity at scale. Because it's finally based on verifiable data.
Okay, let's get under the hood. That scale of analysis sounds almost impossible. How do LLMs take this messy pile of documents and turn it into something structured?
The answer is something called a knowledge graph, or a KG.
The KG is the scaffold, then?
It is the essential scaffold. But to build the U.S. legislative graph, researchers first hit this huge and kind of surprising challenge.
Which was?
Document quality. The source documents for U.S. laws are all over the place, format-wise, depending on when they were published.
Let me guess. The older the document, the worse the quality.
You got it. The oldest chunk, from 1951 to 1992, is about 11,425 laws that only exist as image-based PDFs.
Oh, wow. So just scans of old paper.
Ancient scanned images.
Yeah.
Which immediately brings up a huge problem with optical character recognition.
Right. OCR. That's the software that tries to turn an image of text into actual text you can edit.
And if the scans are bad, the OCR is going to be full of errors. We're talking typos, words split in half, punctuation just gone.
So your foundation is shaky from the start.
Very shaky.
Yeah.
So to solve this, they came up with an LLM-assisted strategy. They basically turned the AI into a highly specialized editor.
And they used a specific model for this.
They did. A powerful open-source model, Llama 370B, was instructed to act as that correction agent. It reads the messy OCR text and just cleans it up.
It fixes the typos, keeps the structure.
All while trying its best not to hallucinate or make things up. That one step turns that low-quality junk into high-quality text. That's your node in the graph.
Okay, so now we have clean text, clean nodes. Now you have to connect them all.
That's the next step, edge extraction. finding all the relationships between those thousands of laws.
Which must be hard because they don't just use clean hyperlinks, do they?
Not at all. The references are often buried in unstructured text, like the Act of 1974 or some short title. It's not consistent.
So you need an AI that can understand the legal intent of a sentence, not just match keywords.
Precisely. For that, they fine-tuned a different, smaller model, Mistral 7B, just for this one job, relationship identification.
And it classifies the type of relationship, the edge you called it.
That's right. It's not just law A mentions law B, it's how it mentions it.
So what are the categories?
There are four main ones. Does one act amend another? Does it abrogate it, which means repeal it?
Okay.
Is it the legal basis of another law, or does it just cite it for reference?
And running this process over 60 years of history, that's what builds the graph.
That's what builds it.
Yeah.
A massive queryable graph with over 31,000 unique functional relationships, the edges.
That's incredible. But what happens if the AI gets it wrong? If Mistral misclassifies an edge?
That's a huge risk.
I mean, if it says a law merely cites another, but it actually abrogates it, that's a catastrophic error for a lawyer.
It would be. And that's why these systems have to be transparent. A misclassified edge could lead to an indefensible legal position. The beauty of the graph is that a human can then query that edge and check the original statutory language.
So the AI is the discovery tool, not the final word.
Exactly. It finds the connection in seconds, then the human verifies it.
Got it. Okay, let's shift from the theory to the real world. How does this impact big finance? Let's talk big tech and global taxes.
Right. This is where that structured data gets applied to these incredibly dense financial documents.
I saw an AI legal agent was used to analyze 3 massive 10K filings, Alphabet, Microsoft, and NVIDIA.
It was. The goal was to check their tax positions against the OECD's Pillar 2 initiative.
That's the global minimum tax, the 15% threshold for the effective tax rate, or ETR.
And these 10K filings are hundreds of pages long. The AI agent, using this graph-based knowledge, was able to run these really complex analyses.
And the results were specific. I mean, very specific.
Incredibly. For example, it found that NVIDIA's effective tax rate was calculated to be 12%.
12%. So that's 3 points below the global minimum.
Correct. And that potentially exposes NVIDIA to what are called top-up taxes. They have to pay the difference, that 3%, to the jurisdictions where they operate.
And the AI to point to the exact page in the document to prove it.
With precise page citations. That's the verifiability we were talking about.
The analysis also found these really different tax splits, right? Domestic versus foreign.
It did. Alphabet and NVIDIA were heavily U.S.-centric. Over 90% of their tax burden was domestic. But Microsoft was much more global, more like a 60-40 split.
That kind of insight used to take teams of people weeks to figure out.
And now it's minutes. It's a huge shift.
Which brings us back down to earth. This isn't just for huge corporations. It's becoming, well, essential for smaller law and accounting firms, too.
Absolutely essential. I mean, think about the pace of change. Small firms get buried under this constant stream of new regulations, interpretations, and court decisions.
It just can't keep up. They don't have the research staff.
But AI acts as an equalizer. The efficiency gains are just massive.
How massive are we talking?
We're seeing an 80% reduction in time spent finding relevant tax guidance.
80%. That's not just an improvement. That's a total game changer for a small practice.
It really is. That's time they get back to actually advise clients to use their professional judgment. It's a huge business advantage.
And better for the clients who get faster, more accurate advice.
And now we're even seeing that clarity filter down to the public with tools like Taxis.ai.
Right. These are the user-friendly assistants that help individual taxpayers.
Yeah, they use a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. They draw on this knowledge base of up-to-date forms and instructions to give you personalized guidance.
So it's demystifying a process that, frankly, a lot of people feel is intentionally complicated.
It's a huge step toward equity. But, and this is a really important but, we have to add a major caveat here.
Okay.
This is a powerful tool. And like any powerful tool, it needs human judgment and validation. It's an assistant, not a replacement.
So we have the good use case where agencies like the IRS use it for fraud detection or bill analysis.
Right. That's AI enhancing the existing process.
But then there's the other side, the push for pure efficiency.
Which brings us to the, let's say, controversial use of the DOGE AI deregulation decision tool.
The name alone is something, and its goal is huge, isn't it?
It's staggering. The tool is supposed to analyze 200,000 federal regulations to identify and eliminate 100,000 of them.
100,000. And the projected savings are
$3.3 trillion annually. A very powerful incentive to move fast.
But what went wrong when they tested it? You mentioned a HUD employee's experience.
Well, the employee who tested it reported that the AI's analysis it came to the wrong legal conclusions.
How so?
It would sometimes misread the language. It would claim that a regulation was outside the scope of the underlying statute when, in fact, the AI had just misinterpreted the law it was based on.
So it's like the AI decided a key paragraph was irrelevant when that paragraph was the entire legal foundation for the rule.
Precisely. Which brings us back to this idea of a legal grade standard. The best tools, the ones you can trust, are transparent and traceable.
You have to be able to follow the data trail back to the source text.
It has to be an enhancement to a professional's judgment, not a replacement for it.
What an incredible arc we've followed. From messy, scanned PDFs to a precise, queryable map of the entire U.S. legal system. LLMs aren't just simplifying taxes. They are making the underlying structure of the law visible for the very first time.
And that structural view gives us these profound insights. Researchers analyzed the graph to see which subjects have the most influence, their centrality.
And what did they find about modern lawmaking?
They found that the centrality ranking of major subjects, things like economics, public finance, it's remained almost entirely unchanged since 2015.
Unchanged for nearly a decade.
Almost static.
Okay.
Which suggests a stabilization, or maybe more provocatively, an ossification of thematic focus in U.S. lawmaking.
So the core plumbing of the system is stuck on the same things, even as the world outside is changing rapidly.
That's what the data implies. The core pillars of influence haven't really shifted.
So here is the provocative thought we want to leave you with. If AI can now diagnose exactly which parts of our legal system are the most complex, the most redundant, or outdated, if it can give us that perfect clarity,
then the important question is no longer can we achieve simplicity and fairness in our laws. It's whether the political will exists to actually use this newfound evidence to modernize the rules.
a profound question to watch unfold.